the authors of the letter were also very afraid of you, Mr. Bannon, stating that Miles Guo's connection with you and Bill Gertz was likely arranged by senior members of the party who are anti-CCP. And since you're here with us today, why don't you just tell us how exactly you met Miles?
I met Miles after I left the White House in the fall of 2017, and it was very interesting. I was at the Breitbart Embassy where we do the War Room today. I was working, at that time I was running, I'd gone back and taken over Breitbart as the executive chairman, and there was a big event happening in DC, and that was Miles Guo was going to do a live. This is after he had been shut down live in an interview with Voice America for the first time in history. And they actually ran to my office in the White House to inform me what was going on, and I started a formal inquiry. That's when I realized Voice America was completely infested with CCP agents and CCP sympathizers and CCP influencers. But that late 4 months, I think it was in October of 2017, there was an announcement that Miles Guo was going to do a live from the National Press Club, sponsored by the Hudson Institute. Hudson Institute was one of the most prestigious national security institutes in Washington, D.C., was going to do a live, I think, press conference. I think even Bill Gertz was going to do the question. He was going to make a statement. Then he was going to do a live press conference about unveiling corruption at the highest levels and infiltration of the U.S. government and corruption at the highest levels of the CCP. And, of course, we were going to cover it. And actually, we were setting up to, although we just had the website at the time, live stream it and also have our correspondents there. When national news broke that the thing had been canceled at the last second. And it had been canceled because they'd had a DDoS attack on the Hudson Institute website, or I think on the National Press Club's website, and a bunch of law firms had been attacked. Miles' law firm had been a massive cyber attack that clearly came from the CCP. Mm-hmm. And it was huge news. And so when this was canceled, Bill Gertz contacted me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in meeting Miles?" This is Bill Gertz, I've known to work with, who's certainly the most anti-CCP guy around. And I said, what? And he said, he's getting back over to the Hay Adams Hotel. And then I went over and met Miles and really spent about the next 5 or 6 hours just with Bill Gertz, having Miles tell me the entire story. And it was absolutely amazing. I mean, he's one of the most impressive men I've ever met in his story and knowledge of the CCP, given I had pretty good knowledge. And Gertz was one of the smartest guys. We were blown away by the depth of detail. And he told me what he was about to present, and it actually shocked me. And I could understand why the CCP shut it down. What had shocked me is that more people hadn't gotten together to make sure that could actually be put forward to the American people, because everything Miles told the American people, whether it's about the CCP in Hong Kong, whether it's about the pandemic, whether it's about their infiltration techniques, everything Miles about stolen wealth, everything Miles Guo has told us has been correct. So that was an important day because the CCP essentially had a military attack, a cyber attack in this regard, which is, as you know, we have a cyber command, a combatant command in the American military. One big command Pentagon had, because cyber and Chinese military different cyber. This is one of the things we're doing to get all the messages the CCP have into the infrastructure of the United States. And so this was really the first, I think, outright cyber assault of the Third World War of the Chinese Communist Party against the American people, and actually shutting down the Hudson Institute, National Press, major law firms, in an assault to make sure that Miles Guo couldn't have a repeat of the April interview on Voice of America. Remember, the Voice of America interview, I think it was supposed to be an hour, and I think, or an hour or two, and Miles was 45 minutes into it. 3 hours. Miles almost an hour into it and was shut down. And they didn't want, obviously, they wanted Miles to come and give 2 seconds of interview here. So it was a major event, and that's how I met Miles. So no, it was the exact opposite of the CCP. Although I don't doubt for a second, given Miles's level of information, and particularly what he was prepared to tell that day. And if you look back at HSA and what he knew about the biggest financial scam that's hit China in 30 years, he clearly knew that from people that were inside the Chinese Communist Party, particularly the finance ministry, to know the level of detail he had. Miles had people leaking information, and there were actual whistleblowers.